welcome back to my channel. Today I've got a scene card where I'm combining stamp sets. I'm actually combining this year's Lawn Fawn Stamptember stamp set Snow Bunnies with last year's Lawn Fawn Stamptember stamp set, which is Nutty or Nice. So keep watching to see how I make this card. I've got all of my supplies here laid out, just a piece of Nina 110 pound paper to do my coloring on. Here is the Snow Bunny stamp set, and here is last year's Nutty or Nice. Both of these are Stamptember exclusive sets from Lawn Fawn. This year's Snow Bunny set is still available, but last year's is sadly not. It's sold out. I've got the Lawn Fawn Stitch Hillside borders and the Lawn Fawn Snowy Backdrop die. So those are the sets I'm using. I'm using Lawn Fawn Jet Black ink to do my Copic coloring. I've got some Distress Oxides, Stormy, Sky, Chipped Sapphire, and Black Soot. I don't actually end up using Black Soot, but I brought it out just in case I wanted the background to get a little bit darker. And then I've got my ink blending tools that I'm going to use with my little foam blenders. I've got a bunch of Copic markers out, just an array. All of these will be listed over on my blog. And now let's get into the coloring. So I've stamped out all of my images and I'm just going through and doing the coloring. You might notice that the Snow Bunny does not have a nose. So I wiped off the nose and didn't ink that up, and you'll see how this will come together in a minute. So I'm just using some E markers to color in these squirrels. I'm only using a 2-color blend on the squirrels, but on a number of the other images, I use a 3-color blend. So just going through adding the shadows where I think that there would be shadows. I am no Copic coloring expert. Just, I think it's fun to color with them, and think that you get the best dimensional images with these. Also, for certain stamp companies, I like to color with Copics. For others, I'd like to color with Zigs. It just depends on the company and the way that their images look. So, like a few of the Mama Elephant stamp sets, like those that are illustrated by Ada, those ones I tend to go towards Zigs. Like I said, it just depends. But for Lawn Fawn, I really like to use Copic markers. So now that I've got those squirrels colored, I'm going to move on to the bunnies. At first, I thought I might color these in a light, like tan color, but I decided to go with warm grays. So this is W6, W4, and W2 for the bunny, and then W0 for the belly and the tail. I kept my Copic colors pretty minimal, so the squirrels are both the same color, the bunnies are both going to be the same color. All of the details, like the scarves and the Santa hat and the presents, those are all going to be, the same few colors. The presents will be red and green. The scarves and the Santa hat will be red. The green for the presents is the same green that I used for the trees and for the top of the carrot, just trying to keep it pretty minimal. So here I am coloring in the second bunny. That's the bunny that will be putting the nose on the little snowman bunny. So he's got his little arm out, so it was perfect. And then the squirrel that is facing right and will be placed on actually the bunny's left-hand side, he will be putting on one of the little stick arms. So my idea for this was that, they could all be there together, building the snowman together, like it was maybe a little Christmas party or something. When this year's Snow Bunny set came out, it really did remind me a lot of the Nutty or Nice set, because the Nutty or Nice set was squirrels putting together a snowman, And this year's set was Bunnies putting together a little snow bunny. So I just thought that these would go well together. And I think that it's always fun when you can combine stamp sets and get more out of one set when you add with another one that you might already have. And it just allows you to, you know, like I said, get something different and kind of play a little bit more. And it forces me at least to be a little bit more creative when I use more than one set. I often get stuck in a rut where, you know, I just see a set, it already has sentiments in it, it has images, and I just make a card out of one set. And so this kind of forced me to be a little bit more creative. Just coloring in every other little line on that candy cane with the E39, making the snowman wear the same scarf as the squirrels and the bunny, just that little plain red scarf. Also, this video is sped up 4 times. Obviously, I'm not coloring this quickly. This took me quite a while to color. This card actually took me about an hour and a half to make. So I find that scene cards often take a little while to make, but I feel like they're really fun and the recipients always really love to get them. So it's a little bit of a time investment, but is really fun. Coloring in that snow bunny with some blue markers just on the edges and pulling that out with a colorless blender. Now I'm just moving on to do that little carrot present. Like I said, I thought that this little scene was them all at a party and they were building the snowman. And so I thought that the squirrels would probably bring the bunnies the carrot present. And then there's also a little acorn that comes from Nutty or Nice. And that's what I imagined the bunnies bringing the squirrels as presents. I don't know. It seems silly, but just how I envision this coming together. So I'm just coloring in these trees with some YG markers, 07, 05, and 13. So just making a little gradient for all of the sections. The set only comes with 2 of these markers, or two of these trees. So I just stamped the little one twice. I always feel like things look better in 3s on a card or in odd numbers. So I wanted to make sure I had 3 trees. Just coloring in the little tree stumps with the same E markers that I used to color in the squirrels. And then here I am coloring in that little acorn. I also think that when you limit the number of markers, the card comes together and looks a little bit more cohesive because you haven't used so many different colors. It makes it easier on your eyes, I feel like, to look at it. Just colored the ribbon on the acorn green because I'm going to color the ribbon on the carrot red. So I wanted a little bit of contrast there. We're almost done coloring, just gonna do these little presents. And then once I had turned off my phone for filming, I realized that I had forgotten to color in the little carrot ribbon. So I did color that red just off camera. So I've colored it so that one of the boxes is green with a red ribbon and then the other box is red with a green ribbon. I do only end up using one of these. I just didn't have room for both. I think the one in the end that I use is the red box with the green ribbon. So just doing these are super duper tiny, so I'm just doing some really basic coloring on those. And that is the end of the coloring. Now I'm going to do my ink blending for my background. So this is a piece of Bristol smooth paper. And I am just laying down that stormy sky And then I'll come in and blend some of the chipped sapphire from the bottom. Again, this is also sped up to be 4 times. I cannot blend this quickly. I wish. But you don't want to sit here and watch me ink blend for 5 minutes. So it's just easier to speed it up. So just adding a little bit of contrast. The darker color is going to be what's closest to the ground once I die cut my background. So this is the panel that will get die cut with the snowy backdrop die. And that's really fun because it just cuts out little stars and little snowdrops. So it's great when you layer it on top of a white card. And there's it all cut out. I've got some of this new Lawn Fawn liquid stardust here. And I am going to splatter that on to my background. And you can use it full strength or you can use it with water. And I'm just going to use a little bit of water with it. So I just put a little bit down on my craft mat. I wasn't quite sure how much I would need. Added a little bit of water, and then I'm going to pick that up with a paintbrush and splatter it around. I thought when I ordered this, I wasn't sure that the bottle would last very long, but you really don't need a lot of this. So I think that the bottle will last you a really long time. Just using that paintbrush and tapping it on, flicking on the little sparkle dots onto my background, and I think this will it just adds a nice little element. Now I've got my little critters and their scarves and hats, and I've got the new Lawn Fawn glitter pen, and I am just going in and adding just a little bit of glitter to their scarves and to that Santa hat just to bring in some interest just where it's red. So now I've zoomed in a little bit, and you probably can't tell very well, but it has just a little bit of shimmer on the scarf, and like I said, just adds a little bit of something extra. So now I've got these Hillside borders cut out just from Nina, and I'm going to use this Hero Arts kit that it's an embossing powder that adds like a fluffy snow-like texture. So you put down this lacquer pen, and then you pour on the white puff embossing powder. And when you heat set it, it puffs up. It's really interesting. I think that if you had something that was like a little character image that was snowy, I thought about doing this with the snow bunny, but realized that I thought I'd lose the face. But if you want to make something look like it's snowy, it's a great way to do it. It's a little bit hard to see. You can definitely see it in the final photos. It's easier to see in the shadow of my heat gun where it kind of puffs up. Now I've got that smallest border for the bottom, and I'm stamping my sentiment using that chipped sapphire distress oxide ink. And it says, "We wish you a Merry Christmas." Just adding that to the bottom. And then I'll use some Gina K Connect glue to glue down that tallest hillside. I always like using these together, and using multiple of these just makes the scene, I think, look a little bit more realistic. And then that second border I'll add down with a little bit of foam tape to give it some dimension. So I'll just add that on. I had my sand eraser out to just get a few little ink boo-boos. And now I've got all of my little die cut images. So I'm laying out, seeing how I want this scene to look and to come together. So I'm kind of just playing around, seeing what I like, and then we'll kind of go from there. See, at first I thought the squirrel might put on the nose. But then I thought it made more sense for him to put on the arm since he was closer height-wise to putting on the arm, and the bunny was much taller, so he could put on the nose. So like I said, just laying these out. I'll put the presents underneath the trees because I figure after they do their activity of building the little snow bunny, they'll probably open their presents to each other. So I've got the trees, and here I am adding in the little presents. And then once I've got it all to the way that I want it, I'll just start to individually pick up these images and glue them down. Now for that bunny that's standing over there in the corner, I cut a little slit in his arm so that he could hold the candy cane. I wanted him to have something to do, some type of extra element. And so he is holding a candy cane, probably to give as a gift to one of his friends. So here I am just gluing down the final images. You see that bunny has the little carrot nose, and the squirrel has the extra arm, and then their little snow bunny is complete. I've got some extra images and I'll just keep those in case I want to make another card. And then that's the card for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you got a little bit of inspiration to make a card. Let me know if you have purchased this Stamptember Lawn Fawn exclusive set and what you're making with it. Hope to see you in the next video. Thanks so much.